Today is Friday, March the 3rd. We have gone on 3 long-distance trips in our Tesla. We have gone to Canada, to East Texas, and to North Texas. And today we are going to go to West Texas, out to visit relatives in Balmorhea State Park. So to get there, using the trip planner, it suggests that we take a long path to get there because there are not a lot of superchargers between our house in Leander out to Balmorhea, which is out here. So to get out here, they will eventually be putting a supercharger in Fort Stockton, but today that supercharger is just a permit. They have not started building it yet. So the next one out that we're going to be going to is going to be Junction, and then we're going to Ozona, and then it's a long trip for us from Ozona to get to Balmorhea. We're hoping we have enough battery to get there. We think we should be okay, or we'll be turning around at some point, but we're going to give it a try. Once we get out to Balmorhea, there are no chargers there, and there isn't even any level 2 chargers, not even in Fort Stockton, not even within 50 miles of Fort Stockton. So when we get out here, we're going to have to charge with a 110 outlet, and we're going to need to try and charge it up as much as we can so we can get back to Ozona. So luckily we'll be there for the weekend, and hopefully that will be enough to charge up and be able to actually get us all the way back out here to Ozona and get back home. But we're going to give this a try and find out how it works. It'll be our first time trying to actually go somewhere where there isn't just a simple supercharger getting us all the way there. Until they get that Fort Stockton one, we decided that we don't want to wait. We want to actually give it a try and see if we can do it. So in theory we should be able to do it. So today we're going to test the theory. So we'll set that as our first destination, to Junction. As you can see with the latest software update, Tesla has made it so that you can see how many stalls are at that location. This one has 8 and has 2 red ones, so you know there's 2 people charging right now. So there's 6 of 8 stalls that are available right now. So we will set that as our navigation point.
Proceed to the highlighted route onto Start Pass.
And it's calculating the route, figuring out how much battery it's going to take for us to get there. And now down at the bottom here, it shows us that we're going to start out with 88% battery, and we're going to, by the time we get there, we'll be down to 32% battery, which is good. So we're going to start on our first leg of our trip. We are going to stop at the grocery store and pick up some road munchies, and well, hopefully it stays like this today. It's a nice day out. I want to say hi to Frankie. Okay, and we're off. Okay, so we just arrived in Junction, and it's estimating that we will be here for 15 minutes while we charge up before we go to Ozona. And as you can see from the charging trip estimator here, we made a little bit better energy efficiency up at this point, and then got back to what it was expecting as we got further down, and we ended up pretty much with what it thought we should end up with. So we're currently at 30% charge, and so we're going to stay here for 15 minutes and charge up. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll wait. I won't bother hitting the continue trip. I'll let it, I believe once it gets enough charge, it gets like 20% more charge than it needs to go to Ozona, it will automatically continue the trip. So I'm going to leave it here, and I'll go ahead and plug it in, and we'll see what it does. And of course, test the supercharger, grab the cable, take it over, press the cable button, and plug it in, and sure enough, there it goes. So we're at the 1B. There's another one over there on the other side of the car. We're at a Chevron station. There's a Jeans Go truck stop over there, and there is a McDonald's right across the road there, which I think we're going to go over to because we're going to get a drink. Got to refill our trip drink that we have. As you can see, they've got 6, 7, 8 superchargers and a Motel 6 if we wanted to stay, which we are not. But we are out in hill country of Texas. This is where all the hills, you get a lot of these big hills like you see in the Western movies sometimes and stuff. It gets more mountainous or hilly as we go a little bit further, but we'll see that later today. So in the meantime, I'll go ahead and let this thing charge up, and let's see what it's saying. We are now supercharging, doing 108 kilowatts, adding 300 miles an hour, 302 miles an hour, which is pretty good. So it's saying that it's going to take 20 minutes to continue on our trip, which is just fine. As I said, we're just going to go across the street, get a drink so we can refill our drink here and be on our way. So I'll pick this back up when we get back. Okay, so we just got back from the McDonald's across the street there, and that's actually a pretty good McDonald's. I liked it. The men's room was clean. My wife said the women's room wasn't as clean, but it was fairly busy. It's obviously a truck stop here, and it's got a nice shop on the side there where you can get other foods, snacks and things besides just the McDonald's, so it's pretty good. But when we got back, it said that we're done charging, so it says we have enough to get to the next location. It's still got 25 minutes if we want to finish filling it right up, which we don't. So let's go ahead and let's see here. It says that we will get to Ozona with 35% battery. So we're looking pretty good at this point. And the trip chart shows that we're starting out with 72. We'll get there with 35. So I think we're all set. I'll go ahead and unplug it and we'll get going. So let's go ahead and get the charging back up here. Tell it to stop charging. There we go. And now I'll get out and unplug it. Alrighty. Unplugged. Put it back in. All set. Alrighty. And we're all ready to go. So away we go. Off to Ozona. Okay, so here we are. We just arrived at the Ozona supercharger, and the trip shows that we had 70% to start, and we got here with 34%, just under what it predicted, because we were doing like 80 the whole way here. So it was just under what it predicted, but or actually no, it looks like it's the same as what it predicted. I'm not sure why it has a gray line here It says 34 on both of these. That's weird. But anyways, got here with plenty of battery. More than we needed. And I'll go ahead now and plug it in so we can start charging. Let's tell it to navigate there. All right, so it can see where we are now, and it can see the amount of charge. We'll have negative 33% charge, so it's going to take us 63% to get there. So like I said, we're going to charge to 100% here, because once we get there, there is no place for us to plug in. The state park actually has some NEMA 1540s or 1450s, and but they're all for rent, and they're all booked up right now, so we couldn't get one booked for ourselves. So we're going to have to plug into just a regular 110 outlet when we get there. And so obviously we're going to need at least 66% battery to come back. So I'm going to try and get us to 100% battery before we leave here, so there'll be that much less battery that we need to charge for us to be able to get back at the end of the weekend. So we're going to go ahead, and I'll go ahead and plug it in. We're here. What is this? This is it's an inn. I can't remember what it was when we drove up here. It's at the back of this inn. Took me a few minutes to figure out where it was. Go ahead and plug this in. And it likes it. Good. Got a big transformer back there. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, it's got 6. It's got 6 chargers. So, looks like it's got a pool that's closed for the season. And the highway's just back behind us there. We just got off the highway to get here. So there is a restroom in the hotel here, and just further down the road that way is well, I think you can see it over there in the far distance. There's a Sonic, but there's also a Dairy Queen that's closer. Apparently it's infamous. It's got a lot of bad Yelp reviews, but we might check it out, we might not. We're not really hungry, so probably just stay here and let this charge up. So let's see what it says we're going to do for charging. So I'm going to tell it to charge to full. So let's see. Charging, set charge limit. Today we're going to go completely full on this one. So it's going to take 40 minutes to continue our trip, which means it's going to charge to there in about 40 minutes. But to get full, it's going to be more like an hour for us to get it completely full. And like I said, and we're doing this specifically because there is no charger between us and Balmorhea State Park. There is going to be a charger there in Fort Stockton. They have a permit to make the charger, but it is not there yet. But when they do put that charger out in Fort Stockton, obviously this trip is going to be very convenient for us, because we'll just charge here to maybe 20 minutes and then get to Fort Stockton, charge there for 20 minutes, and then get to Balmorhea and back again with, you know, not so much battery, not having to worry about getting so much battery like we're having to this time. But hopefully this is the last time that we have to do this. You know, next time we do this trip, they'll have the Fort Stockton one ready to go. That, and I know that they're going to work on some others going even further out here. Let's do this. Show me where the chargers are. There it is. Okay. I didn't have the chargers shown on the map, so as you can see, there's one out here in Van Horn. It's got 8 stalls and nobody's using any of them. We're over here in Ozona, and we're the one using the 6 stalls here. And up there's another one in Midland. As soon as that Fort Stockton's done, this will be a real easy trip to make. I don't know what this is. 2 connectors, 8 kilowatt max. That's pretty good. I did not know they had that there. So they do have some other ones out there. So it's interesting. So anyways, in the meantime, we will go ahead and have a snack. We'll decide if we want to actually go and walk down to the restaurants back when we have something new to show you. It's 2:26. We'll see you in a little bit. Alright, so as you can see, it says that we now have enough energy to continue on our trip. However, since every little bit is going to really help us, every bit of electricity that we have when we get to Balmoral is that much less electricity that we're going to have to recharge potentially at the 110 volt charger, 110 volt outlet, which is the slowest charging you can get. It goes like 3 to 4 miles per hour. So I want to completely top up this last little bit, but it says it's going to take 40 minutes. So I think what we'll do, this didn't take that long to get to where we are now. It's 2:54. So it's showing us that we're all set. We can leave. But what we're going to do is we're going to walk down the street here. There is a right along here somewhere, there is a Dairy Queen that we're going to go take a look. That we've seen a lot of Yelp reviews saying that it's not that great, but we wanted to get another drink. We're empty, nothing but ice left, so want to get another drink. And so I think we'll go do that while the charging is going on. We'll go down and do that, and that way we'll use up some of the 40 minutes that it thinks it's going to take to finish topping up. We could get something to eat now. It's 2:55 and we haven't had lunch, but we did have a breakfast. We stopped at McDonald's right as we were leaving and got ourselves some breakfast, and we're really not that hungry. We've got a bag full of goodies from HEB for potato chips and some caramel corn from the last stop and stuff. So, you know, we've got little snacky things we've been eating along the way, so we're not in a real big rush to stop for something to eat. So we'll go down and check out that Dairy Queen and get something to drink, and then we'll come back and hopefully this will be close to finished and we'll be ready to go. See you in a bit. Okay, so we just got back from the Dairy Queen down the road. It was actually really clean. The people there were nice and the service was quick, so I didn't see any problem with it. I guess we're going to download the Yelp review app and put in a review of what we saw. We didn't see any problem there, but we could stop at it on the way back and check it out again and see how they're doing. So right now we have, it says 10 minutes remaining to completely finish charging up. As you can see, it's really slowed down to 11 kilowatts just to get that last little bit of charge. And I am going to actually go ahead and let it finish that last little bit, because every little bit like that will be that much less I have to get from a 110 outlet when I get to the state park. So we'll go ahead and let that finish up. It's only going to be another probably less than 10 minutes to finish it up. So we'll go ahead and do that, and then we'll head on our way. So as we can see, we are all set to get to Toya Vale, which is where the Balmoral State Park is. And you can see now it's got our trip information. We'll get there with 32%, meaning that it's going to use 67%. So once we get there, if we do get there with 32%, then we're going to need to charge up, assuming that we can get back with the same amount of energy used. Since it's 67, so I need 35 or 67. Oh, yeah, 35 is what I'll need to charge up when I get there. So 35% over 2 days, probably not a big deal for us to get to that. Of course, I'd like to have more than that because I don't want to leave there with exactly enough, although it should take less energy to get back here from the park than it's going to take to get to the park, because we're actually going uphill as we go further west across Texas. We're going towards the Davis Mountains, we're going to go up in elevation, and then coming back, of course, we'll be going down. So it should take us less energy coming back than it's taking going out there. So hopefully we won't have any problems charging it up. So that's the plan. I'll go ahead and get ready to disconnect it. We should be done charging in a few minutes here, and then we'll head out on our way. So one other thing I'm going to do, just to help with how much energy we're going to use, it says we're going to get there with 32%. So I'm going to put the range mode on. There we go. Now, of course, the range mode, as it says, range mode will save energy by reducing climate control power. It will also distribute torque between the motors to improve range. Heating or cooling the cabin may be less effective. Which is fine, because, especially today, since the temperature outside right now is 64 degrees, and so it won't take much for it to cool and heat the cabin today, because we could just open the sunroof, for that matter, and just let some nice cool air in. So anyways, I don't think it's going to really make any difference as far as our heating and air conditioning in this weather, with it being pretty pleasant outside today. So that is how we will drive there. Hopefully that will save us a few kilowatts, or a kilowatt, who knows how much it'll save us. It still says we're going to get there with 32%, and I'm supposing that once we get to 100% battery full, that'll say 33%, and who knows, maybe we'll get there with 33, or maybe even more. We'll see what it is when we get there. Anyways, so I'm going to get ready to leave here, and when we get there, I'll show you what we do get. See you soon. Okay, so today is Saturday, and we arrived last night. I neglected to take the video last night of our charge and status when we got in. But to let you know, we ended up getting here with 47% battery, which was significantly more than what the trip planner had originally anticipated, since the trip planner anticipates that you're going to come in with the battery at the level that it would expect for the speed of the highway. So the highway we were driving on is an 80-mile-an-hour speed limit, and it expected us to drive at 80 miles an hour, and that if we did, we would end up being here with something like 27% or something like that. But remember, the goal here for us, because we know we're pushing the limits of how far we can go with this trip until they build that Fort Stockton supercharger, we wanted to make sure that we tried to get as much range as we could. So to do that, remember, I used the in the controls, I used the range mode to try and get more range from the car, and we kind of lucked out when we were driving from Ozona to Balmorhea. Until we got to about Fort Stockton, there was a truck that we came upon that was traveling well under the speed limit. It wasn't even doing 60 most of the time. I guess because of the trailer and the kind of truck it was, it just wasn't capable for some reason of getting up over 60 miles an hour. So we just stayed behind it the entire time, and that way we weren't driving ultra slow just to drive slow with people coming up behind us thinking, what the heck is that Tesla doing? We just basically gave this guy an escort from behind sort of thing, where we were just following him all the way here. So because we were able to drive the car under 60 miles an hour for more than half of the way, we ended up saving quite a bit of of the battery for that part of the trip, and we ended up getting here with 47% of our battery, as opposed to the 30 something or 20 something percent that it was estimating. And that's really good, because we know that we were going to have to trickle charge this car using just a 120 volt outlet at 12 amps. And 12 amps, 122 volts is what it's drawing, and what it's been drawing is giving us 4 miles per hour. And so this morning, or up till this morning, we've added 54 miles back onto the range of the car. And it was saying, if I looked at my phone app, it was telling me that it would actually only take another 19 hours to charge the rest of the way to the set level that we have right now. So it's going to take 19 hours. Of course, because I came into the car now, and I've sat down in the car and turned it on, and now the car is having to heat the cabin up, because it's a little chilly this morning. We're down to 51 degrees here at the park. So sitting down in the car like this, telling it that I want to get the charge back up to 72, or the temperature back up to 72, of course now it's using the heater, and it's saying, okay, well, if you're going to sit here with the heat running, and it's going to take more than 24 hours for that trickle charge to actually get you up to that 80%, 90%. So, but I know it'll go back to 19. It'll go back to the 19 hours remain, because I'm going to get out of the car soon, and it'll be off, and it'll be able to just work on charging that up, which is really good. 19 hours. You know, it's almost 9 o'clock in the morning here. Tomorrow we'll probably leave, you know, shortly thereafter, 9 o'clock. So in theory, by tomorrow, it will most likely be completely charged up to that 90% mark, which we know we can easily get to that first supercharger with even less than that. In theory, we could even get there less than the 47 that we got here with today. If we left here tomorrow morning with 47% charge, and I drove it the same way to get to that first supercharger in Ozona, it would actually probably get there with some to spare, because the elevation is going down from here. So we'll actually use less energy getting to that supercharger than we used to get from it to here today, because we had to go uphill so much. So in theory, we could get there with even less than 47% battery if we leave here tomorrow morning. But of course, we're going to leave here with 90% battery. I'm not going to worry about driving slowly on the highway. I'm going to do the speed limit, the 80 mile an hour speed limit, all the way there. And if I get there with 10% battery or 20% or whatever I get there with, fine. I'm not worried about it, because once we get to a supercharger, I'll charge very quickly, so it won't really matter. Not like coming this way, where I know I'm going to end up having to plug into a 120 volt socket. And again, being at the park, the actual connection that we have is down there against the wall. Being at the park now, it's I'll just give you a little view of the park. Being at the park, it means that there are a lot of campsites here that we actually could try and use. However, they are all currently booked. So those campsites, at least right now, there aren't any that are empty that actually have the 1450, is it? Is that what it is? NEMA 1450s. I have an adapter for a NEMA 1450, and they have those hookups for a lot of these trailers that are here at the park today, but unfortunately none of them are empty. All of them are booked through the whole weekend. And we tried to book one a couple of weeks ago, but I can tell you, if you want to come to the Balmoral Park and you want to bring a trailer or a motorhome and you want to hook up, you want even just a spot to park, make sure you do a reservation ahead of time, because it's not likely that you'll get in here without a reservation. So, but I'm sure most people with motorhomes already know that. But the park itself is out here. It's pretty impressive. It's really a beautiful beautiful scenery. And of course, if you know anything about the Balmoral State Park, there's a natural spring-fed pool that's just down the street there, just down the street from here, and that's really the attraction of the park. That's why it's a state park. Back in the 30s, they actually turned that pool into a pool. It was a spring that they actually built a pool around the spring and allowed the spring to fill the pool, and then the water trickles out. And there's just across the street here, there's a stream that the water trickles out from and goes down the stream here and then to a lake that's further down a few miles from here, 6 miles away or so. And so that pool is extremely popular even with the locals, people wanting to get in here through the week and on the weekends to go for a swim in the spring-fed pool. There's fish in the pool and everything, and it's, you know, just small fish, but people really love coming here to enjoy the pool, and plus just the natural, you know, the landscape, the beauty around here is just quite amazing. How nice it is. It's this mountainous section, hill section of Texas. And there's lots of other state parks around here, of course, and we're not that far from Big Bend even, that, you know, people are able to hit a few parks if they come in this area. So if you ever do, definitely take the time to stop here. It's a really nice place. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and finish this up. We'll let the car finish its trickle charge, and that's our socket that we're connected to, and we'll let the car finish its trickle charge, and tomorrow we should be good to go. Until then, we're going to go enjoy the park.